$23. That's what Nonna Rosa spends on groceries most weeks. And she's fed a family of 6 off that number for 40 years. I stood behind her in line at a little Italian market outside Providence, while the cashier rang up exactly 21 items. The same 21 items, she told me, more weeks than not. No coupons, no sales hunting. Just a list she's never had to change since 1986, and a full week of real Italian cooking waiting behind it. Here's the mistake almost every home cook makes at the grocery store, Italian food included. You buy ingredients for one recipe at a time: a bag of basil for tonight's pasta, a jar of pesto for tomorrow, a pack of pre-shredded Parmesan for whatever's next. And by Sunday, you've spent $60 on things, half of which spoiled in the crisper drawer before you used them twice. Nonna Rosa doesn't shop for recipes. She shops for a pantry. 21 items that combine into dozens of different dinners. And that single shift, pantry over recipe, is the whole secret behind a grocery bill that hasn't moved in years. She didn't design the system on purpose, either. Nonna Rosa came over from a small town outside Naples in 1979, newly married, with almost nothing left over after rent most weeks. She learned this list the hard way, by running out of money before running out of month, again and again, until she started writing down exactly what actually got used and what quietly went bad in the back of the fridge. Within a year, the list stopped changing. It's the same 21 items today that it was then, adjusted for inflation and nothing else. Item 1 is a plain, everyday extra virgin olive oil, the kind in a big tin or a liter bottle, not the $30 finishing oil people save for special occasions. Nonna cooks with real olive oil in everything. Garlic goes in it. Vegetables roast in it. Pasta gets tossed in it at the end. And buying it in bulk instead of a small fancy bottle cuts the per ounce cost by more than half. Save the good stuff for drizzling. Cook with the everyday stuff. Item 2 is canned whole-peeled tomatoes, San Marzano style, and Nonna buys these by the case, not the can, because a case price knocks $1 or more off each individual can. These are the base of half her dinners: a simple sauce, a soup, braised chicken, and canned tomatoes at the peak of ripeness beat fresh tomatoes out of season almost every time, at a fraction of the cost. Item 3 is dried pasta, the bronze-cut kind with a rough, matte surface instead of a slick, shiny one. That rough texture grabs sauce instead of letting it slide off. And a box costs about the same as the smooth stuff, so there's no real trade-off, just a better result for the exact same price. Item 4 is a full bag of garlic, not a jar of the pre-minced kind. Whole heads keep for weeks on the counter, cost a fraction of jarred garlic per clove, and Nonna says the flavor difference alone is worth the 30 extra seconds of peeling. Item 5 is yellow onions, the workhorse of nearly every Italian dish that starts with a sauté. Buy the big bag, not the loose singles, because the per-pound price on a bag runs noticeably cheaper, and onions keep for weeks in a cool, dark spot without any special storage. Item 6 is canned tuna packed in olive oil, not water. It costs a little more per can, but it stretches into pasta, salads, and a quick weeknight dinner in under 10 minutes, and Nonna says the oil-packed kind is the reason her tuna dishes never taste like diet food. Item 7 is a tin of anchovy filets, and Nonna laughed when she saw my face at this one. Almost nobody buys these on purpose, she said, but they melt completely into a hot pan of oil and garlic, disappearing into savory depth instead of tasting fishy. And one small tin lasts through a dozen different sauces. Item 8 is a real wedge of Parmigiano Reggiano, bought whole, never the pre-shredded bag. A block costs more up front, but grates further than you'd expect. And Nonna never throws away the rind. She drops it straight into simmering soup or sauce, where it melts down and adds a depth of flavor a shredded bag could never give you for free. Item 9 is dried beans, cannellini or borlotti, bought dry instead of canned. A 1-pound bag of dried beans costs less than 2 cans of the same beans already cooked, and soaking them overnight is basically free labor, just water and time. Item 10 is arborio rice, the short starchy grain that turns creamy in a risotto without a drop of cream. A single bag stretches across several dinners, and Nonna says risotto is one of the cheapest meals in her whole rotation, once you already own the rice and a box of broth. Item 11 is coarse polenta, dried cornmeal that costs pennies a serving and turns into a full dinner base under a simple sauce or a fried egg. It's one of the cheapest items on this whole list and one of the most filling. Item 12 is a full dozen eggs, always in the cart, because a carbonara, a frittata, or a quick egg drop soup all lean on the same dozen sitting in the fridge. And eggs are one of the cheapest proteins per gram you can buy anywhere. Item 13 is bread, specifically the day-old loaf marked down at the bakery counter, not the fresh one at full price. Nonna buys it on purpose. Stale bread turns into breadcrumbs, panzanella, or ribollita, and it works better in all three than soft, fresh bread does, so the discount is really an upgrade in disguise. Item 14 is a jar of capers, sharp and briny, and one jar lasts months in the fridge because a recipe only calls for a tablespoon or 2 at a time. It shows up in a puttanesca, a piccata, or scattered over roasted vegetables, punching well above its tiny cost. Item 15 is pancetta or guanciale, bought in a small block rather than pre-sliced. A block keeps for weeks longer than thin slices, and because it's so intensely flavored, an ounce or 2 per dish goes a long way, so a single block covers several separate dinners. Item 16 is fresh herbs, basil and parsley specifically, and Nonna's trick for these is treating them like cut flowers. Stems in a glass of water on the counter, not sealed in a bag in the crisper, and they last more than twice as long that way, which means fewer wilted, wasted bunches thrown out at the end of the week. Item 17 is lemons, always a few, in the bowl on the counter, because a squeeze of lemon finishes half of Nonna's dishes, brightening a heavy pasta or a rich piece of fish for essentially nothing, since one lemon covers several meals, a few drops at a time. Item 18 is fresh ricotta, and Nonna buys the tub, not the small fancy container, because it goes into everything from stuffed shells to a simple spread on toast with honey, and buying the larger size drops the per ounce price meaningfully. Item 19 is frozen peas, sitting quietly in the freezer, cheaper than fresh peas almost everywhere outside of a 2-week window in early summer, and just as good tossed into a risotto or a pasta at the very end of cooking. Item 20 is a cheap, dry white wine, kept strictly for cooking, not sipping. Nonna's rule is simple. If you wouldn't drink a glass of it, don't cook with it either, but that still leaves plenty of $8 and $9 bottles that deglaze a pan beautifully without touching the $15 bottle saved for dinner itself. Item 21 is coarse sea salt, bought in a big box instead of a small shaker, because salt never spoils. A big box lasts the better part of a year, and the per ounce cost drops close to nothing once you're buying in real quantity, instead of refilling a small container every few weeks. Line all 21 up, and here's what's actually happening, because the list matters less than the overlap built into it. Garlic, onions, and tomatoes anchor a sauce. That same sauce takes pasta, or beans, or polenta underneath it. 3 completely different dinners from one base. Anchovies and capers turn a plain tomato sauce into a puttanesca. Pancetta and eggs turn plain pasta into a carbonara. Ricotta and bread turn into a completely different meal than either one alone. 21 items isn't a small list, because Nana's frugal for the sake of it. It's small because every single item does double or triple duty across the week, and nothing sits in the pantry earning its shelf space just once. The mistake almost nobody avoids at first, Nona told me, is buying single-use specialty items instead of trusting the overlap. A jar of pre-made pesto for one dinner, a bag of pre-shredded mozzarella for one more, a bottled sauce for a third. Each one feels like a small, harmless purchase in the moment, $5 or $6 here and there. But stacked across a month, those small purchases quietly cost more than the entire 21-item pantry list combined, while delivering meals that taste noticeably worse than something built from real ingredients that overlap. Run the math across a year, and the gap gets hard to ignore. $23 a week, 52 weeks. Lands at just under $1,200 for a full year of groceries feeding a family of 6. Compare that against what the same family would spend buying individual ingredients recipe by recipe, which Nana estimates runs closer to double. And the pantry approach isn't just a nice habit, it's the difference of a real vacation's worth of money by December. If you want Nana's actual weekly list written out, along with the dozen or so dinners she rotates through, using just these 21 items, that's all laid out in the Texas BBQ playbook, linked below and on screen now, with a QR code if you'd rather scan it than type the address in. It sits a little outside the usual barbecue focus, but the same pantry first thinking runs underneath both. Buy less, buy smarter, and let a small set of ingredients do more work across the week. What stuck with me leaving that little market wasn't really the list. It was watching someone shop with total confidence, no hesitation at any shelf, because she already knew exactly what belonged in her cart before she walked in the door. A lot of us stand in a grocery aisle every week making dozens of small decisions from scratch, and every one of those decisions is a chance to overspend or waste something. Nana made that decision once back in 1986, and she's been living off the answer ever since. Sit down, write your own 21, and stop guessing aisle by aisle. The full list and Nana's dinner rotation are linked below. QR code on screen if you'd rather scan than type. And if there's an item on your own list that should have made this 21, tell me in the comments. I'll pass it along to Nana myself.